Hi, welcome to the Film Dweeb Luminati members only video review for Anora, which won Best Picture for 2024. I watched it on rental. I kind of wish I saw it in a theater, but I rented it before the Oscars and then it won, and then I watched it afterwards, probably like the next day. I'm a big fan of Sean Baker. I loved The Florida Project. I watched Tangerine, and that's a very inspirational movie for filmmakers because it was shot on an iPhone. And that's something I'm actually thinking about doing myself at some point, but I digress. So Anora is kind of it's more of a character study, I guess, because all his films seems to deal with sex workers, and this is no different. And the actress Mikey Madison, she's you get to see her in all her glory for most of I would say the first half of the movie. You know, it's not like Pretty Woman. It's almost the same story. But if you think about the original screenplay for Pretty Woman, it was like this dark kind of portrait of life as a sex worker in Los Angeles during the 80s. And then Hollywood got a hold of it and turned it into a princess story. So you kind of think about Anora as kind of rectifying that whole thing. In our minds, we always think about Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman falling in love with the rich guy. And the guy in Pretty Woman, it's like he's lost and he doesn't know how to drive. She walks up, so then he pays her to help him get back to his hotel or whatever. This is nothing like that. It's like on the East Coast, Long Island. You got the Long Island accents. Mikey Madison's character, Anora, she's a stripper, but she moonlights, I guess, as a sex worker on the side. And I don't know, they kind of imply that they all do that. She gets the Best Actress nod, and it's well deserved. She really exposes herself, literally, but she makes it really interesting and she carries the movie. And recently I saw her Criterion Closet picks, and she talked a lot about Isabelle Huppert, who's quite a daring actress herself. So if she draws inspiration from someone like that, I can see it in this movie. And so to get back to kind of the story, because she can speak Russian, her boss orders her to entertain this rich Russian kid played by Mark Idelston. And she arranges to meet him after the fact, wherever he is. So she discovers, long story short, he's this oligarch's son, possibly billionaire. And, you know, he doesn't want to let her go. He wants to take her to Vegas. They go there, they have lots of sex, they party, they do drugs, and then he throws out, "Hey, we should get married." And she's like, "You shouldn't joke about that." And then they do. And then the next thing you know, they're in love. And it's the whirlwind kind of honeymoon. She moves into the mansion with him, says goodbye to her job and her friends. You know, that classic old princess story where she gets everything she's ever dreamed of. And then his parents find out. And then after that, the movie completely shifts gears and becomes almost slapstick at times. It's very funny. It's really funny. It turns into a different movie afterwards. The fairy tale's over and reality kicks in. And for her being a sex worker, it's even more of a kind of fall from grace because this guy's family just doesn't accept her. And so she's got to, the second half of the movie turns into this whole dilemma where they have to get this marriage annulled, but there's a bunch of obstacles in the way. I won't give away too much. I think I can see why it won Best Picture. My wife watched it and she didn't see the point of the movie, but I think it was more of possibly a character study in a way about Anora, the character, because she comes from the same place as this Russian oligarch, whereas he's coming fresh from Russia, but her family's been in the USA for a while. And then, you know, it's almost like fate brought them together, only to be split them apart because of their differences. it turns out that she's just another weekend to this guy, right? Whereas her entire life had changed. But then she meets the other guy who is more from her level of society. And he sees that in her. Yuri Borisov is the actor. He was also nominated. And they have their own dynamic. And through the second half of the movie, you're kind of looking at his face, watching this situation unfold, knowing she's headed for disaster. And he kind of wants to be there for her when it does happen. And some final thoughts on this. It's beautifully shot. I think Sean Baker knows what he's doing visually. He started his first film with an iPhone and he made that look good. So if you give him a nice camera, he's going to make it look great. And that's what this movie looks like. It's great. I can't remember if it was nominated for cinematography. It should have. The acting is excellent. The flow of it, it's pretty long. It's over 2 hours. It's a triumph for indie films. And I think that's one of the main reasons why it won Best Picture. It had a lot of champions in Hollywood who appreciated the work ethic of the film crew and director. And it was only like $8 million budget, I think. And they spent another $20 million on marketing. And this thing has grossed pretty well, winning Best Picture. It reminds me of kind of like those classic 70s films that the ending just kind of leaves you on a kind of a weird note. And it's something that you'll probably watch again if you like the movie. I can see how people are torn on it. But if you're a fan of films from the 70s, this is exactly what it's like. The theme of it, I don't know, maybe it's a commentary on social stature, oligarchs, and the working class in a way where she's doing what she has to do to survive, whereas these people just view her as a toy. And it's kind of like a female Icarus, and a lot of that works because of Mikey Madison's performance. I'm really glad for one thing is that throughout the film, it really takes risks. There's lots of sex, lots of nudity. They're using a lot of non-PC words throughout the whole movie. I think that's important because for the past few years, there's just been such a policing of language that as an artist, when you're writing, you can't let those things get in your way. You have to let the characters talk for themselves. And this movie, the characters really are the ones talking. And if somebody doesn't like that, then they don't have to watch the movie, right? And I'm glad it won Best Picture because we can get back to movies that are honest. And this is an honest movie and raw. And I like that. I like that. It pulls no punches and it's funny. It's rude. It's really coarse, but it's beautiful to look at. And yeah. So out of 10, I would give it a solid 8, maybe higher. It's kind of relevant today because of everything that's going on in the world. And it's kind of a portrait in time. And I think that's why in years from now, it'll be seen as a classic. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a member. And Dweeb out.